Sticks! Sticks for hiking, sticks for fighting, sticks for working out. I've done many a past video about sticks, staves and staffs, and I've been practicing staff-based movement and martial arts for on and off nearly 20 years. And recently I've been teaching it as part of an online course. And one of the most common questions I get on the community page there is, how can I keep up my staff training? How can I turn it into a daily habit? Well, for me, the secret of learning anything is accessibility and keeping it fun, because play is the way we humans as animals have evolved to learn. So in this video, I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to keep up your staff training, turn it into a daily habit, and I'll also share 3 really fun, engaging games that are not only useful for training for weapons-based martial arts by building strength, conditioning, flexibility and reaction times, but it's also just a really fun way to move your body and get some exercise. So grab your stick and let's go. Alright, so now on to the games and how we can train ourselves through play. Now, like any physical activity, it's important to warm up properly beforehand in order to avoid injuries. If you want to see my standard warm-ups, once again, it's on the online course. Now, the great thing about these games is that you can practice them by yourself, and that is an advantage again of making the training really accessible. It's really hard to replicate partner practice. You especially can't replicate sparring, right? But at least these games allow you to use the stick as something to react to. So the first game I'm going to show you, I call the balance stick footwork game. And this was shown to me by my buddy Ben from Source of Swords in our video on basic staff fighting. So you can check out that video here. And it's a really fun way to train our footwork. Now, footwork is one of the most important things in any martial arts. And for this staff fighting, we're essentially using footwork very similar to fencing. Okay, so your leading hand is the same as your leading foot. Your leading foot is facing forward towards your opponent, and the other foot is out at somewhere between 45 degrees and 90 degrees, your legs just further than shoulder width apart, knees nice and bent. The way we move is essentially whatever direction of travel is, that foot moves first. So if we're moving forward, then the leading foot moves first, and then we shuffle. If we're moving backwards, then the back foot moves first and we shuffle back. And we want to first get used to this sort of shuffling backwards and forwards. Once you got used to that, then we can play this balanced stick game. It's quite an intuitive game that beginners do anyway. Now, the easy level is just to balance it in your palm without moving your legs. You can use your arm to compensate for the balance. So now, to make the game a bit harder and to practice our footwork, what we do is we balance the staff in our palms with our arms outstretched, and we only compensate for the staff falling using our footwork. This is a great way to react to the stick as it falls, and once again we're keeping our footwork nice and controlled in that fencing stance and shuffling backwards and forwards. It's easier if you keep your eyes at the top of the stick, but then if you want to make it harder, keep your eyes further down the stick. Imagine if you were facing an opponent the same height as you. If you look at that part of the stick, then there's much less movement in it as it starts to fall. So it makes the game much harder. Practice on both sides and make sure that your footwork is nice and controlled and that you feel stable the whole time. If you drop it, just keep going. The second game I want to show you is called the falling stick game. And I got this idea from the movement coach Ido Portal, who's perhaps most famous for helping to train the UFC fighter Conor McGregor. He's also famous for popularizing the movement system Animal Flow. So I saw this game in a documentary about him and I fell in love with it. It's really, really fun. Essentially all you do is put the stick upright, let go, and whatever direction it falls, you have to catch it in as slow and a controlled and flowing manner as possible all the way to the ground. I like to imagine my stick is made out of a really fragile glass so that I can't just snatch it when it starts to fall, otherwise it'll break. The only way you can catch this incredibly fragile stick is to slowly blend with the energy and gracefully lay it back down onto the ground. Believe it or not, it's actually easier to do these movements quickly, and if you want to make the game harder, then try and do it as slowly and as controlled as possible. And this turns into actually quite a good leg workout, and you end up using muscles in your legs that you just don't normally do because you end up in these strange lunging positions. It's also a really great way to calm your mind, like a slow movement meditation where you have to flow with the energy of the falling stick. This falling stick game is also fantastic for training reaction times, lunges, and training in flexibility. The final game I want to show you is a game I made up myself, and I call it the Whooshy Stick Guard game. Now, essentially, what we are doing here is practicing our basic horizontal strikes and basic guards. Now, if you want to see these in a bit more detail, check out that video I did with Ben. If you want to dive down the rabbit hole, once again, the online course is there for you if you want. Now, simply put, our horizontal strikes, we're just striking from left to right. And our horizontal guards, all we're doing is building vertical walls either side of our body, keeping our hands together and keeping our hands quite low, roughly hip height. And all we're practicing here is moving from horizontal strikes into horizontal guards. Now, we can judge how powerful our strikes are by roughly how loud the whoosh it makes when we swing. So the aim of the game is to make as loud a whoosh as possible in the strike, but still remain in control so that we can easily flow it back into a guard. And we can level this from easy to hard. Level 1, making it really easy, is that you're allowed to put your fists behind your shoulders as you rotate to strike. This is really easy to generate enough power to make a nice whoosh noise. Making it slightly harder is that you're not allowed to move your fists behind your shoulder. So all your rotation has to come from in front of your shoulders. Again, with a bit of practice, it's fairly easy to make a fairly loud whoosh noise. But now let's make it harder. Now, you're not allowed to move your wrists behind your elbows. So all the rotation of the stick has to come from that smaller area of movement. It has to just come from your elbows and wrists. See if you can make a whooshy noise. If you can make a whoosh noise doing that, then the final hardest level is to only use your wrists and your fingertips, essentially gripping and ungripping your fingers to create rotation. This is quite difficult. It's actually quite a good workout for your forearms. If you can make a whoosh, i.e. a powerful strike just from that small movement, then you're doing well. Remember, with all these games, try train both your right and your left sides so that we're not becoming too dominant on one or the other. So thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have fun with these games. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn my entire staff training system, then check out my online course, link below, Resilient Route Survival Training for the Art of Living. And there, on the community page, you can ask me any questions you have. Don't forget to give this video a little like, hit that subscribe button, and right now YouTube is going to suggest one of my past videos for you right here. And you know, I think you'd like it. Just saying.